I fight for my people. I fight so that all the fighting I've already done hasn't been for nothing. I fight because I must. We've been soldiers a long time. We know the price of freedom, but people are still weighing things in their hearts. I fight for we few who did come home, only to find our country full of strangers wearing familiar faces.
Hello everyone, welcome to the 5th installment of the Skyrim Jarls series. Our guest in this episode is Ulfric Stormcloak, the Jarl of Windhelm, leader of the Stormcloak Rebellion, one of Skyrim's most controversial figures, a man who Skyrim fans either love or hate, a proud northerner to some, and a traitor to the Aldmeri to others. Join me as we delve into the life of the man who would be High King, and explore what drives his fierce desire for Skyrim's independence. If you want to watch more informative videos about Skyrim, do not forget to like this video and subscribe to my channel. Enjoy watching. Not much is known about Ulfric before the 4th Age 176. He inherited control of the eastern border of the imperial province of Skyrim from his father, Hoag Stormcloak, then Jarl of Windhelm. Born into the respected Stormcloak family, Ulfric was destined for greatness, but his path would never be easy. A life marred by war and loss awaited the young, charismatic Jarl of Windhelm. From a young age, Ulfric was groomed for leadership. In 161 years of the 4th Age, when Ulfric was only a lad, he had the honor of being chosen by the Greybeards. His time with the Greybeards at High Hrothgar taught him not only the way of the voice, but also the weight of responsibility that comes with power. He spent almost 10 years at High Hrothgar, learning the way of the voice with Arngeir until the Great War came. While learning the way of the voice at High Hrothgar, he met Balgruuf, who was about his own age. Balgruuf would later become Jarl of Whiterun and known as Balgruuf The Greater. Thus began a rivalry between these two young men that would last for years. These two men would also represent the two sides of the Skyrim Civil War. Ulfric trained at High Hrothgar and learned how to use Thuum. Balgruuf, on the other hand, never achieved this honor. Ulfric believes that the Greybeard's philosophy of the way is a pure and beautiful one. However, he has never been able to adhere to it, except during his years of seclusion in High Hrothgar. Yet Ulfric knew from his youth that Thuum was a force to be reckoned with. For this reason, none of the lessons he learned from Arngeir were wasted. The only problem for Ulfric was that his teacher Arngeir never forgave him for using Thuum for anything other than kine worship. In the second half of the 4th Age 171, a great war called the Great War broke out across the lands of Tamriel. This war between the Empire and the Aldmeri Dominion affected Skyrim as well as other provinces. Young Ulfric, who planned to become a Greybeard, left High Hrothgar at the outbreak of the Great War to join the Imperial Legion and support Skyrim's interests. During the Great War, he fought alongside Galmar Stonefist and Legate Ricka. However, he was captured by the Aldmeri Dominion during the Dominion's campaign for the Imperial City. Captured by the Thalmor, he endured unimaginable torture. It's said that in his darkest hour, he was broken, and in his weakness, the Thalmor learned the Empire's secrets. While imprisoned, he was interrogated by Elenwen for information, under which they learned of his potential value, being the son of the Jarl of Windhelm, and considered him an asset to their influence in Skyrim. He was made to believe information obtained during his interrogation was crucial in the capture of the Imperial City in Cyrodiil, even though it had fallen before any information could be gained. The Thalmor dossier on Ulfric says he was then allowed to escape. Whether he escaped on his own, and the Thalmor were unable to apprehend him, or if he was intentionally set free, is not known. Returning to Skyrim, a hero of the war, Ulfric's passion for his homeland was now mixed with a deep-seated resentment towards the Empire. The Markarth incident was a turning point, where Ulfric's demand for the free worship of Talos set him on a collision course with Imperial law. So, what was this Markarth incident, and why did it cause so much tension between Ulfric and the Empire? During the Great War between the Empire and the Aldmeri Dominion, the capital Cyrodiil was under siege. For this reason, the Empire deployed all the military forces on its borders towards the capital. This meant that many cities in Skyrim were left without a military presence. Markarth was one of these cities. The Reachmen, a race native to the Reach, seized the opportunity provided by the Great War to rebel and establish their own kingdom in the Reach in 4th Era 174. In 4th Era 175, the Great War ended with the Empire signing the White Gold Concordat, an act which banned the worship of Talos in the Empire. Igmund, son of the previous Jarl of the Reach, stated his family and their imperial colleagues sought help from Ulfric in ousting the Reachmen invaders. Igmund's father, Hrolfdir, promised Ulfric that if he retook the Reach, then Hrolfdir as Jarl would allow free worship of Talos in Markarth again. Ulfric agreed and marched with his militia to Markarth. Ulfric led the militia to recapture the Reach in what would become known as the Markarth Incident, during which numerous war crimes were committed. It is rumored that Ulfric used the Thuum to achieve this victory, and he ultimately overthrew and captured the forsworn leader, Madanak. Under normal circumstances, Ulfric would have executed Madanak, but thanks to Thonar Silverblood, a prominent citizen of Markarth, Madanak was imprisoned in the Sidna mine. This was a political move to avoid future problems. The surviving Reachmen fled to the hills of the Reach and became known as the Forsworn. The Great War was over, and the Imperial troops began to spread across the Empire's borders to reassert the rule of law. When Markarth was returned to Imperial control, the free worship of Talos there was officially permitted, a condition Ulfric demanded before he agreed to cede control of the city. Until then, the Imperial Legion had been largely ignoring Talos worship in Skyrim, and Jarl Hrolfdir hoped the Thalmor would not find out about it. Eventually, word reached the Thalmor, who sent a contingent of agents to Markarth to personally demand Ulfric's arrest. When the Thalmor threatened Jarl Hrolfdir and the Empire, there was no other choice. Eventually, the Empire rescinded the agreement due to pressure from the Aldmeri Dominion, and Ulfric and his militia were expelled from the city and imprisoned shortly after with Hrolfdir's help. This betrayal left Ulfric bitter towards the Empire and is considered to be the initial conception of the Stormcloak Rebellion. Following the incident, Ulfric reportedly became uncooperative to direct contact with the Thalmor, and he was eventually deemed by them to be a dormant asset. His father Hoag, the Jarl of Windhelm, usually referred simply as the Bear of Eastmarch, died during his incarceration. Ulfric, his only son, was forced to deliver his eulogy via a letter that he had smuggled out of prison. Leaving prison, Ulfric returned to Windhelm to find the city in mourning. The citizens were said to have been calling out for justice and war against the Aldmeri Dominion. Naturally, they sat Ulfric on the throne, and he became Jarl. It wasn't long before Ulfric's rebellion began, which at first was composed of minor skirmishes. Despite his enmity toward Ulfric, Jarl Balgruuf of Whiterun initially refused to take a side on the resulting war. Upon the death of Skyrim's High King Istlod, the Moot was convened, even in the middle of the Civil War, and formally named Istlod's son Torig as the new High King. While the Moot traditionally gathers only when a High King passes away, leaving a direct successor, Ulfric seized this occasion to express his wish to secede from the Empire. Torig, familiar with Ulfric's reputation as a valiant soldier, held him in high esteem, and Ulfric's boldness at the Moot only heightened the young Nord's admiration. Following Torig's rise to power, and amidst ongoing civil strife, Ulfric made his way to Solitude to meet with the newly crowned High King. The court, under the impression that Ulfric sought a dialogue to further articulate his separatist aspirations, received him warmly. However, they soon grasped the true purpose of his visit: a direct challenge to Torig's rule. Bound by time-honored Nordic custom, Torig was compelled to accept the duel with Ulfric, as declining would tarnish his honor and potentially result in the Moot reconvening, possibly ending his reign. Narratives vary regarding the events that unfolded. Ulfric's version is that he felled Torig with his voice and then delivered the final blow with his blade. Whispers among the populace suggested that Ulfric's Thuum was so potent, it rent the young High King asunder. Those loyal to Ulfric saw Torig as a betrayer to Skyrim, justifying his demise. On the other hand, Ulfric's critics argue that his challenge lacked any semblance of honor, branding Toryg's killing as an inexcusable act of murder. Toryg, youthful and less experienced in combat, stood little chance against Ulfric, a battle-hardened veteran with the Thu'um at his command. Sibyl Stentor, Solitude's court wizard who nurtured Toryg, believed that the young High King might have earnestly entertained Ulfric's plea for Skyrim's liberation from the Empire, given his respect for Ulfric. Ulfric, however, interpreted his triumph as evidence that the Empire's influence weakened Skyrim, advocating that the region would thrive independently. After Toryg's death, Ulfric fled back to Windhelm. Sometime after this event, the Imperial Legion managed to ambush Ulfric at Darkwater Crossing in order to capture him. The ambush was successful, and Ulfric surrendered himself without a fight. He was then taken to Helgen by the Imperial General Tullius to be executed. During his execution here, he was saved by the dragon god Alduin, who appeared centuries later and destroyed Helgen, and continued to the Stormcloak rebellion. This played into the hands of the Thalmor, who were happy to see the Empire in a difficult situation due to the war in Skyrim. According to Thalmor reports, the elves were secretly financially supporting the Stormcloak rebellion. Whether Ulfric knew about this or not is not entirely clear. The core tenets of the Stormcloak philosophy are deeply rooted in Ulfric's conviction that Skyrim must withdraw from an empire he deems decadent and decayed, a realm already vanquished by the Thalmor. Haunted by the memory of countless Nords who laid down their lives in the Great War, Ulfric views the White Gold Concordat, the peace accord struck between the Empire and the Aldmeri Dominion, as an egregious act of treachery against the people of the Empire. Ulfric also seeks to become the next High King, as he believes there has not been a true High King in Skyrim for generations, and that previous kings were puppets that were hand-picked by the Emperor. Some Nords feel that his opposition to the White Gold Concordat and the banning of Talos worship in Skyrim is simply a facade for him to gain more supporters, to gain his true goal of becoming High King of Skyrim. However, seek out the story of how Ulfric claimed the Jarlship of Eastmarch, and a different portrait is painted, one of a man steeped in the ancient ways, a son of Skyrim, true to the path of his ancestors. This throne, he declares, belongs not to me, but to Ysgramor, to my father. It is their legacy I uphold, and it is for their honor I strive, hoping to be worthy of their esteemed memory. In his heart-to-heart with Galmar Stonefist, Ulfric reveals a heavy burden. The knowledge that his uprising will claim lives and bring sorrow to Nord households. Despite this, he is resolute, driven by a conviction that Skyrim's liberation is paramount. To Ulfric, the Empire is but a leech sapping the strength of his land to mend its own war-torn flesh, a war it chose to abandon. Moreover, he views the Empire as a barricade, thwarting his people's efforts to purge the Thalmor's meddling from their cherished homeland. With several of his policies being nationalistic in tone, many non-Nord and some Nords consider Ulfric to be prejudiced. He is believed by some to have sequestered the Dunmer population in Windhelm to the slums of the Grey Quarter, and the Argonians to the assemblage off the docks, issuing a decree forbidding the Argonians from living within the city's walls, contrary to his father Hoag's more soft policy. However, this hostile belief toward outsiders is shared by much of Windhelm's populace. Dialogue with Niranye, an Altmer who lives within the city, actually suggests that it is the Dunmer who chose to live in the Grey Quarter due to being too proud and naive to understand the way things truly are. Pleas from Dunmer citizens often fall on deaf ears, leading them to believe he has nothing but disdain for them. Some even claim Ulfric refuses to send aid to the Khajiit caravans and non-Nord towns that have been raided by bandits. Dialogue shared between Ulfric and his steward Yorleif indicate, however, that he does not attend to the issues in his city because he is too preoccupied with the Stormcloak rebellion and the greater issues of Skyrim to worry about them, saying it is the guards' jobs to deal with such issues. It is often cited as proof that Ulfric was not a Nord nationalist fascist, that Dunmer, Altmer, and Imperials could have jobs and live peacefully in Windhelm within its borders. However, the fact that Argonians are banned from entering Windhelm, Ulfric's statements such as "Skyrim belongs to the Nords," and his treatment of Khajiit and Dunmer make him seen by many as a fascist leader. As you get to know Ulfric and get to the end of the video, you may have this question: is Ulfric Stormcloak a hero, a villain, or something in between? His story is a tapestry woven with threads of honor, betrayal, and ambition. As we walk the streets of Windhelm, we can't help but wonder, what is the price of freedom, and who pays the cost? Thank you for joining me on this exploration of Ulfric Stormcloak's life and legacy. Whether you stand with him or against him, one thing is clear: his impact on Skyrim's history will be felt for generations to come. Before closing the video, I will leave you with Ulfric's speech, "Why do I fight?" which is part of the dialogue between Ulfric and Galmar Stonefist. If you enjoy my videos and want to support me, please don't forget to like this video and subscribe to my channel. See you in the next video.
We've been soldiers a long time. We know the price of freedom.
How long are you going to wait?
Is any man ever ready to give the order that will mean the deaths of many? But people are still weighing things in their hearts. Many, I fear, still need convincing.
What's left of Skyrim to wager?
They have families to think of.
How many of their sons and daughters follow your banner? These men and women, they call themselves Stormcloaks because they believe in you.
Tell me, Galmar, why do you fight for me?
Since when does a man need a reason to protect his family, to defend his homeland? I fought in the Imperial Army in the war against the Dominion. I bled and spilled blood for the Empire. The Empire would have us become their slaves, as they have become slaves to the Thalmor. I will not live as a slave, nor will I die as one. Are we not one in this?
I fight for the men I've held in my arms, dying on foreign soil. I fight for their wives and children whose names I heard whispered in their last breaths. I fight for my people, impoverished to pay the debts of an empire too weak to rule them, yet brands them criminals for wanting to rule themselves. I fight so that all the fighting I've already done hasn't been for nothing. I fight because I must.
Some say Ulfric desires to be king and nothing more. Have they not seen that his anger floats on a sea of tears?
My father died during my imprisonment after the Markgarth incident. When finally set free, I returned to Windhelm and was greeted by a city in mourning, clamoring in angry voices, calling out for justice, for war. They sat me on the throne of Isgramon, the throne of my father. I only hope I can prove worthy of that honor.
I oppose tyranny. I oppose those who tell me how to live, what to think, and what to believe. I am a man. Skyrim is man's homeland. There is no shame in that.
Untold numbers of Nords died defending the Empire against the Dominion. And for what? Skyrim being sold to the Thalmor so the Emperor could keep his throne. We're fighting because we're done bleeding for an empire that won't bleed for us. We're fighting because our own Jarls, once strong, wise men, have become fearful and blind to the people's suffering. We're fighting because Skyrim needs heroes. And there's no one else but us.
In the heart of Skyrim's tumultuous civil war, one figure stood as the unwavering symbol of imperial authority, General Tullius. His story is one of duty, honor, and the relentless pursuit of order in a land torn by chaos. Sent by Emperor Titus Mede to quell the Stormcloak rebellion, Tullius is the embodiment of imperial resolve. In this video, we will get to know the experienced General Tullius, who is in a very strategic position for the civil war in Skyrim. We'll discuss his views on the civil war, his hatred of Ulfric, his relationship with Norse culture, and what he has to say about the coming Great War against the Thalmor. If you want to watch more informative videos about Skyrim, do not forget to like this video and subscribe to my channel. Enjoy watching. Born and raised in Cyrodiil, Tullius was a seasoned veteran long before he set foot in Skyrim. His military prowess and strategic acumen were unmatched, earning him the respect of allies and the fear of enemies. Tullius's destiny was shaped by the Legion's code. His journey to Skyrim is one of loyalty to the Empire and a testament to his strategic genius. In 4th Era 201, after what the Empire considered the murder of High King Torygg by Ulfric Stormcloak, General Tullius was sent to Skyrim by Emperor Titus Mede II. Ulfric Stormcloak was leading skirmishes against the Empire, and the Legion was originally unsuccessful in beating his Stormcloaks. When Tullius got sent to Skyrim after the murder of High King Torygg, the Empire became more successful in their campaign. As Skyrim's civil war escalated, General Tullius found himself not only fighting on the front lines, but also navigating the treacherous political landscape of the province. His alliance with the Empire's interests made him a target for rebellion, yet he remained resolute in his mission. Tullius, being experienced in putting down unrest, started turning things around for the Empire. He personally captured Ulfric Stormcloak and his top lieutenants at Darkwater Crossing, and was trying to have them executed at Helgen, until Alduin appeared and Ulfric, alongside his men, escaped in the chaos. Still, under his command, the Legionnaires, largely consisting of a locally recruited militia legion of scouts and skirmishers, started massacring the Stormcloaks and slowly pushing them back. When the ancient dragon Alduin appears centuries later and suddenly attacks Helgen, General Tullius decides to defend Helgen with his troops. His goal is to defend Helgen until its citizens are evacuated. However, Alduin is unaffected by the Emperor's legion of magic arrows and destroys the town with its flames. Surviving the attack, Tullius retreats to Castle Daur in solitude to regroup. Alduin's interruption of Ulfric's execution ends up prolonging the Skyrim civil war as a result. While concerned about the return of the dragons, he refused to let it distract him from his objectives. As Ulfric also escaped from Helgen alive, and reports indicated that he was preparing to step up his campaign, Tullius devoted most of his efforts to gaining the fealty of the neutral Jarl of Whiterun, Balgruuf the Greater, eventually succeeding when Balgruuf declared his loyalty to the Empire in exchange for imperial reinforcements to defend Whiterun from an imminent Stormcloak siege. This alliance would prove to be an important turning point in the Skyrim civil war, for Balgruuf the Greater is also Ulfric's sworn enemy, and just as capable a Jarl. Tullius's leadership was defined by his unwavering commitment to discipline and order. Every decision he made was calculated, every battle meticulously planned. His soldiers respected him, not just out of fear, but out of admiration for his dedication to the Empire. Among supporters of the Empire, Tullius was commonly regarded as their best hope for victory. But behind the facade of a stoic general lay a man burdened by the weight of responsibility. Tullius understood the cost of war, the lives lost, and the families shattered. Yet he believed that only through unity and strength could Skyrim find peace. The clash between General Tullius and Ulfric Stormcloak was more than a battle of arms. It was a clash of ideologies. Tullius saw himself as a defender of law and order, while Ulfric viewed him as a symbol of imperial oppression. Tullius had troops stationed in the Pale, which he was trying to use in attempts to conquer Dawnstar. He was also attempting to conquer Winterhold from the Stormcloaks, as its proximity to Windhelm would force Ulfric to keep forces stationed at home. Tullius also pocketed men in the Rift, who took out the Stormcloak soldiers at Shore's watchtower. These troops were stationed here to secure the rear guard of the Legion in the event of a siege of Windhelm. Tullius also ordered Margaret, an imperial spy in the Reach, to find and obtain the deed to Sidna Mine, a silver mine serving as the jail of Markarth, which belonged to the Stormcloak loyal Silverbloods. Thonar Silverblood, the head of the family, found out that Margaret was a spy and tried to have her get assassinated by Waylon, a member of the Forsworn. However, Tullius faced several challenges. His pleas for additional troops were denied by the Emperor, who was wary of compromising Cyrodiil's border security against the Third Aldmeri Dominion. Furthermore, Tullius's unfamiliarity with Nordic traditions frequently posed a disadvantage. Although Tullius understood that the High King was traditionally selected by the Moot, Ulfric pursued the Jagged Crown, a symbol of authority that could sway public support in his favor and validate his claim, harking back to the time when the crown was the emblem of sovereignty prior to the establishment of the Moot. Tullius is said to be opposed to the White Gold Concordat and to resent the Thalmor, which he ironically has in common with his nemesis, Ulfric Stormcloak. He believed the entire rebellion could be blamed on the Thalmor, who stirred it up to force the Empire to waste precious resources and soldiers. This becomes apparent during the quest Season Unending, when Ulfric expresses vehement indignation about the Thalmor being present at the negotiations in High Hrothgar. And Tullius shows a thinly veiled agreement with Ulfric right in front of Elenwen. Tullius's defining traits is his sense of duty and loyalty to the Empire. He has spent his life serving as a soldier and rising through the ranks to become a trusted commander. His adherence to imperial values and laws is unwavering, and he views the rebellion in Skyrim not just as a threat to the Empire's authority, but also as a betrayal of the principles he has sworn to uphold. This sense of duty shapes many of Tullius's decisions throughout the game, driving him to take decisive and sometimes harsh actions to quell the uprising. Tullius's interactions with other characters in Skyrim also shed light on his personality and beliefs. His relationship with Legate Ricka, his second-in-command, highlights his trust in capable subordinates and his willingness to listen to different viewpoints. While he may clash with Ricky at times, their partnership is built on mutual respect and a shared commitment to the Empire's cause. Tullius's interactions with the Dragonborn, the player character, also reveal his pragmatism and adaptability as he recognizes the Dragonborn's unique abilities and potential to sway the course of the war. Despite his strengths as a leader, General Tullius is not without his flaws. His unwavering loyalty to the Empire can sometimes blind him to the suffering of individual citizens or the nuances of local politics. His rigid adherence to military protocol and discipline can also create friction with those who value personal freedom or cultural heritage above all else. However, it is precisely these flaws that make Tullius a compelling and relatable character in the world of Skyrim. In conclusion, General Tullius is a multifaceted and compelling character whose actions and beliefs shape the narrative of Skyrim's civil war. His sense of duty, loyalty to the Empire, pragmatism, and leadership skills make him a formidable opponent for the Stormcloak rebels and a respected figure within the Imperial Legion. While not without his flaws, Tullius's character adds depth and complexity to the game's overarching conflict, challenging players to consider the moral and political implications of their choices. Whether viewed as a stalwart defender of imperial authority or a symbol of oppressive rule, General Tullius remains one of the most memorable characters in Skyrim's rich tapestry of storytelling. If you enjoy my videos and want to support me, please don't forget to like this video and subscribe to my channel. See you in the next video. Hello everyone! Welcome to the third installment of the Skyrim Jarls series, where we get to know Balgruuf The Greater, the northern Jarl of Whiterun, one of the most beautiful cities in Skyrim. Known by his people as an honorable warrior, many also call him Balgruuf the Stronger. In his youth, Balgruuf traveled to High Hrothgar to meet the Greybeards. Balgruuf even tried to learn how to use the voice, Thuum, but he failed. In this video, we will also take a closer look at his view of the Civil War, his rivalry with Ulfric and some of his more obscure traits. If you want to watch more informative videos about Skyrim, do not forget to like this video and subscribe to my channel. Enjoy watching. Balgruuf the Greater is the Nord Jarl of Whiterun Hold, residing in his Great Hall, Dragon's Reach. He is a major character in the main quest of Skyrim. It was common knowledge that Balgruuf the Great was a descendant of King Olaf One-Eye, an admirer of the Greybeards. In his youth, Balgruuf had made a pilgrimage to Hrothgar the Great with Ulfric Stormcloak, another important northern character. The rivalry between Ulfric and Balgruuf began in those years, when they were both young and fiery. The rivalry between the two continued in the following years in a major social event known as the Skyrim Civil War, and influenced the fate of the war. He also has a brother named Hrongar. No one ever mentions the Jarl's wife. Nelkir mentions during the quest The Whispering Gate that he did not have the same mother as Dagny and Frothar. Balgruuf's wife is also not seen during the game. Balgruuf the Greater's younger brother Hrongar is a northern warrior loyal to his older brother, even though he gets into disagreements with the Jarl's steward, Proventus Avenishi. Hrongar is not, however, a supporter of the Stormcloaks, often voicing his support of the Imperials and how Whiterun should take the fight to the Stormcloaks instead of sitting around, as he puts it. Balgruuf the Greater, while eventually becoming loyal to the Empire, he puts Whiterun's interests first, many times denying the Imperial Legion permission to garrison soldiers in his city so as not to portray martial law. If he is asked what side he is on in the war, he will say that he is on the side of Whiterun, showing a great sense of loyalty towards Whiterun. In his neutral stance, he remarks that he may well be obligated to support one or both sides, the Empire as a province, the Stormcloaks out of loyalty to Skyrim. Indeed, he will only express open hatred of the Stormcloak Rebellion after the Dragonborn chooses a side in the Civil War, slandering them if they seize Whiterun with the Stormcloak army under Ulfric and his second-in-command, Galmar Stonefist. According to Gurdur, Balgruuf and Ulfric had been at odds for years and fears Balgruuf will side with the Empire out of spite. Balgruuf's distaste for the Stormcloaks may stem from the fact that he had refused to declare allegiance for either side, but Ulfric attacked Whiterun anyway by deeming anyone who did not support him as an enemy. As it was said by Ulfric during the Markarth incident, "You are either with us or against Skyrim." Since Whiterun's provisions were terribly diminished during the Skyrim Civil War, and Ulfric's uprising had doubled the costs of goods, Balgruuf ultimately sided with the Empire in order to preserve the more lucrative trade agreements with the Empire. Balgruuf the Greater, while considered to be an honorable warrior who put his heart and soul into his service, he was also not considered a patient man. Following the White Gold Concordat, he and the other Jarls were given chests of gold as compensation. However, he continued worshipping Talos privately and, according to Nelkir, hated the Thalmor as passionately as the Stormcloaks. If encountered at the party at the Thalmor embassy, he will make this view very clear and will also be more than happy to disrupt the proceedings on behalf of the Dragonborn. During the Stormcloak Rebellion, a shrine to Talos remained in Whiterun's Wind District, and citizens there were allowed to publicly proselytize in Talos' name without repercussion. The priestesses of Talos were even allowed to voice their opinions freely in public and to rage against the Thalmor.
Will rule Skyrim forever! Talos the mighty, Talos the unerring, Talos the unassailable, to you we give praise, and deserve our praise you do, for we are one.
Both the Stormcloaks and the Imperial Legion sought to gain Balgruuf as an ally, as Whiterun was prosperous, influential, and strategically located. The latter in particular allegedly made a great effort to obtain Balgruuf's loyalty. Balgruuf claimed to be neutral, saying he was only on the side of Whiterun. He refused to allow the Legion to garrison troops in the city, and he refused to acknowledge Ulfric's claim to the position of High King. Until the Siege of Whiterun, Balgruuf did not officially declare his support for one side or the other, but it was widely known that he was somewhat closer to the Empire. In fact, Ulfric gave Balgruuf no choice when Whiterun was besieged. Balgruuf the Greater is more interested in the dragon menace in Skyrim than in the Skyrim Civil War, with which he is usually closely associated, and considers it a greater danger than the Civil War. When the last Dragonborn came to him following the attack by Alduin on Helgen, Jarl Balgruuf ordered troops to Riverwood, directed the hero to High Hrothgar, home of the Greybeards, and quickly devoted his time and resources to addressing the dragon threat. He made the last Dragonborn Thane of Whiterun for slaying Mirmulnir when the dragon threatened the city. Some point after Mirmulnir's attack, Jarl Balgruuf finally declared his loyalty to the Empire in order to protect Whiterun against a Stormcloak siege and coordinated the defense of the city from Dragon's Reach. According to the official game guide, Balgruuf is viewed by many as the embodiment of a true Nord, and his allegiance with the Empire as having actually convinced many would-be Stormcloaks that the Empire may actually be the answer to Skyrim's problems. On a normal day, Balgruuf gets up early at 5 a.m. to head the main hall for a 1-hour breakfast. Then, at 6 a.m., he'll get up and take a seat on his throne. At 8 p.m., he leaves his throne and heads to his quarters to go to bed. If he's still Jarl, he and Proventus Avenici will also be present at Kodlak Whitemane's funeral. He wears noble clothes, a pair of fur-lined boots, and a golden ruby circlet. He wields a steel sword and carries a selection of upper-class loot and gold. Balgruuf has strong bonds with his friend and housecarl, Irileth, whom he fought alongside with during his time in the Legion. As such, she rarely lets him out of her sight and berates him for a lack of concern for his personal safety. Irileth is very serious about her job and her loyalty to Balgruuf, occasionally to the point of paranoia. Even after the Dragonborn kills Mirmulnir, Irileth remains distrustful of him mirrors her, though she still tells the Dragonborn that she is glad that they are on her side. She does not seem to care much about Skyrim's traditions or tales. After Mirmulnir is slain, she refuses to involve herself in debating about the Dragonborn's identity. She is simply relieved that the dragon is dead. We have come to the end of the third part of the Jarls of Skyrim series. In this episode, we meet Balgruuf the Greater, Jarl of Whiterun, the city at the heart of Skyrim, who has earned the respect of Northerners throughout the lands of Skyrim. Although he has taken a stand against the Stormcloaks, he is a great man for Skyrim. If you enjoy my videos and want to support me, please don't forget to like this video and subscribe to my channel. See you in the next video. Black-Briar Mead. How does a Mead play a decisive role in the power struggle in one of Skyrim's most populous provinces? Yes, you heard right. Produced by the Black-Briar Meadery, this mead reaches inns all over the Skyrim lands, sweetening the mouths of northerners tired from a full day's work. In this way, it provides its creator, Maven Black-Briar, with the power and wealth to hold the reins of power in the city of Riften. You guessed it, in today's video, we will be covering the character of Maven Black-Briar, one of the most influential and powerful figures in the province of Skyrim. Maven's story is a complex one, filled with intrigue, power struggles, and a relentless pursuit of wealth and control. So sit back, relax, and let's dive into the world of Maven Black-Briar. Sly glances, an angry tone of voice, and lots of condescending expressions. The first time you meet Maven Black-Briar, you'll immediately recognize his ego that doesn't fit in Skyrim. Confident in his power, Maven Black-Briar will try to crush you, even if you are a Dragonborn.
Of course. Nothing gets done without my approval in this city. I have the Jarl's ear and the guards in my pocket. Anyone makes trouble for me and I pay a visit to the Thieves' Guild. Make me angry and I contact the Dark Brotherhood. You do well to remember that the next time you make such a stupid observation.
The Black-Briars have always been a powerful and affluent family in Riften. Their influence extends over the city's cultural and ethical affairs, as well as its industries. But the family's golden age was just beginning. Under the leadership of Maven Black-Briar, the family took control of all of Riften and began to spread their influence throughout the lands of Skyrim. Maven herself is a shrewd and calculating woman, known for her ruthless tactics and willingness to do whatever it takes to maintain her power and influence. Maven's rise to power began when she took over the family business after the death of her husband. She quickly proved herself to be a shrewd businesswoman, expanding the Black-Briar family's operations and amassing a vast fortune in the process. She controls a vast empire of businesses in Riften, including the Black-Briar Meadery, the largest producer of honey and mead in Skyrim. She is a formidable force to be reckoned with, feared and respected by many in Riften and beyond. We cannot say that these rumors are baseless, because it's a fact that Maven has close ties with the underworld of Riften and Skyrim. Maven's political influence extends to the higher echelons of power in Skyrim, with rumors of her connections to the Imperial Legion and the Thieves' Guild. Some say that Maven pulls the strings behind the scenes, manipulating events to further her own agenda and protect her interests. The Thieves' Guild in Riften acts directly on the word of Maven Black-Briar. So much so that the current leader of the Thieves' Guild is very wary of running afoul of Maven. For this reason, they even seek the help of the Dragonborn to fulfill Maven's demands. However, we can say that there is a balance in this relationship. Because the Thieves' Guild is a well-established organization, and even though they have been weakened by the Skyrim Civil War, they have a certain influence on politics. Despite all this, while Maven maintains a tenuous alliance with the Thieves' Guild, she is not above betraying them if it serves her own interests. Because Maven's ambition knows no bounds, driving her to achieve greatness at any cost. The influence that this gives him can even propel him to the Riften throne, depending on the player's choice. Maul, her loyal right-hand man, ensures that Maven's will prevails in Riften. He enforces her commands without question, and his loyalty borders on fanaticism. According to Mjol the Lioness, Maven's connections with both the Dark Brotherhood and the Thieves' Guild make her the most influential person in Riften. She wields her power with finesse, manipulating situations through a combination of wealth and fear. Maven claims to have Jarl Layla Lawgiver and even the Riften Guard in her pocket. Her ability to sway outcomes is unparalleled, and those who cross her path often meet grim fates. The biggest example of this is the missions where the Dragonborn burns down the businesses of other mead makers, trying to rival Maven for entry into the Thieves' Guild. This action was requested by Maven from the Thieves' Guild. The matriarch of the Black-Briar family, Maven is virtually unapproachable and elitist. She holds the actual pulse of Riften in her crushing grip, and is not above using unscrupulous methods to ensure things go her way. Anyone who crosses her typically ends up dead or in prison, even members of her own family such as Sibby Black-Briar. Maven Black-Briar's relationships with other characters in Skyrim are as complex as she is. She is the mother of 3, Hemming, Ingun, and Sibi. Each of her children plays a distinct role in the family's affairs. Hemming, despite conflicting information, is likely her son. She has a strained relationship with Ingun and Sibi, who both resent her controlling and manipulative nature. Maven's interactions with her children are often fraught with tension, as they struggle to assert their independence in the face of their mother's overpowering presence. Ingun works as an apprentice for Elgrim at Elgrim's Elixirs and dreams of becoming an alchemist. She rarely talks about anything but ingredients, although you can ask her about her family.
My family. All that wealth and they squander it on foolish ventures and political schemes. I was meant for so much more than all of this. I wish to pledge my life and ply my talents in darker circles. If only my mother would let me. I would make her proud.
Maven, however, thinks little of her efforts to make her proud, and will instead treat her to her usual methods. How much longer do you intend to waste your life concocting your foolish little potions? Your interests lay where I wish them to lay, otherwise, my favorite daughter may end up homeless and without a septim to her name. Is that clear? Despite her ruthless nature, Maven has a reputation for taking care of those loyal to her. She rewards those who serve her well, offering protection and opportunities for advancement within her business empire. This has earned her the loyalty of many in Riften, who see Maven as a powerful ally and benefactor. Despite her power and influence, Maven Black-Briar is not without her enemies. Many in Riften and beyond chafe under her rule, resentful of her iron-fisted control and ruthless tactics. Maven's actions have made her a polarizing figure, with some seeing her as a necessary evil and others as a tyrant to be overthrown. Some of those who take orders from him are waiting for the first opportunity to render Maven powerless, but that seems unlikely, because Maven has good relations with the Thieves Guild, the Dark Brotherhood, and the Empire. The fact that the Legion is also behind him makes Maven quite privileged. For this reason, the Empire plans to appoint Maven Black-Briar as the Jarl of Riften in case the Civil War ends. In conclusion, Maven Black-Briar is a character who epitomizes power and influence in the world of Skyrim. Her cunning, ruthlessness, and pragmatism make her a force to be reckoned with, and her control over the city of Riften is absolute. Maven's story is one of ambition, betrayal, and manipulation, and her rise to power is a testament to her skill at navigating the treacherous waters of Skyrim's political landscape. I hope you enjoyed this deep dive into the character of Maven Black-Briar. Be sure to like and subscribe for more videos on the lore of Skyrim. Until next time, thanks for watching. Hello everyone, welcome to the second part of our Skyrim Jarls series, where we'll get to know Igmund Ravencrone, the allegedly mystical Jarl of the city of Morthal, a city notorious for its mysterious goings-on and trying to stay out of the Skyrim Civil War. If you want to watch more informative videos about Skyrim, do not forget to like this video and subscribe to my channel. Enjoy watching. Jarl Igmund Ravencrone of Morthal ruled at the time of the Stormcloak Rebellion in 4th Era 201. Igmund claimed to have visions granted to her by the Eight, which she relied on in her governance of Hjalmarsh, which was caused by manipulating magicka subconsciously in order to achieve visions, a gift her children inherited. She is a hunched old woman, unlike any Jarl in the province, who speaks in riddles and parables and rarely ever directly. However, her wisdom is sometimes misunderstood as the ramblings of an old woman, and some are beginning to lose faith in her. She wears a rare assortment of upper-class attire, consisting of a fur-trimmed cloak, pleated shoes, and a pair of fine arm guards. She is equipped with a steel dagger, and also carries a selection of common items and gold. Igmund Ravencrone is an elderly Nord mystic. She runs the administration with her husband, Asilfor, who serves as her steward. Her housecarl is Gorm. She is the mother of Igmund the Younger and Jorik. Asilfor met Igmund during the time she spent wandering Tamriel. A young warrior then, Asilfor protected Igmund during her pilgrimage, and the two were married before returning to her home in Morthal. Over the years, Asilfor has served as Igmund's advisor, and now in her old age, and some say her insanity, he is more protective than ever. Igmund the Younger has heard the rumors that her mother is touched. In truth, Igmund has been taught by her mother to seek insight and wisdom. Although neither recognize it, both are manipulating magicka subconsciously in order to achieve their visions. The younger Igmund is much more adept at separating the visions from reality and is poised to make an excellent Jarl. Jorik is the youngest child of Igmund Ravencrone and Asilfor. He's a young boy who seems to have lost his mind at a very early age. He doesn't say much, but when he does speak, he is oddly insightful, even if his words make little sense. When taken to healers of Kinnereth, they said he was a perfectly healthy boy. While she was careful with her words, Igmund was clearly a supporter of the Empire during the conflict. Although the Empire itself noted that under pressure, Igmund would ultimately seek to protect Morthal's, not the Empire's, interests. Her people were largely bemused and frustrated by her indirect leadership during this time of crisis. Asilfor often insisted that he be consulted before his wife if anyone had business with her, as he did not want people to waste her time requesting help with mundane problems, for which he believed they would not understand her advice. Gorm was once loyal to Igmund, but has since come to think of her as insane and unfit for the throne in these trying times. Gorm has formulated a plan to remove her from power with little bloodshed. Asilfor and Igmund are both aware of his plan, but Igmund has refused to allow Asilfor to act on the knowledge, insisting that there is a larger role for Gorm to play. Though Igmund aligns her hold with the Empire, she is not particularly concerned with the war, a trait she shares with Jarl Balgruuf the Greater of Whiterun, and also dislikes the Thalmor due to their ruthless and treacherous nature. She associates herself with Falion, a newcomer to Hjalmarsh and a wizard. Because of their kinship, she is mistrusted by the members of Morthal. However, although he is disliked by the rest of the town, she claims he is more altruistic than bothersome. Several individuals within Morthal despise her because she accepts Falion into her court, and because she seems not to bother with most petty problems in the hold. Falion is a Redguard mage resides in Morthal. Before settling in the town, Falion was the conjuration master at the College of Winterhold, a position now held by his former pupil, Finis Gestor. He left because he hated to have to report to Savos Aren, the archmage of the college, as well as disliking where the college is headed, as Finis says. He is also the brother of Morthal's innkeeper, Jonna. Due to Falion's association with necromancy, the people of the town accuse him of all sorts of wrongdoings, such as killing children and eating the hearts of the dead. Falion takes care of an adopted orphan, Agni, and is also teaching her the ways of magic. He can be found wandering around Morthal or at his house. Igmund claims to have the power of foresight and says that these dreams and visions are gifts from the divines. That on its own is strange enough, as foresight is a rare gift in the Elder Scrolls universe, with the only other in Skyrim being the Augur of Dunlane. But what makes Idgrod really odd is how she is also linked to at least 2 quests that appear to have been cut. This cut content makes it appear that Idgrod's visions were intended to play a more significant role within Skyrim, but never made it into the final game. One of these cut quests can still be found in-game, as a much smaller miscellaneous quest that players can receive from Idgrod's Housecarl Gorm, called For the Good of Morthul. The Dragonborn can find Gorm in the Moorside Inn after 6 each evening, where he will speak to them regarding Idgrod's visions. He seems concerned they are affecting her ability to be a good leader, offering an interesting glimpse into the politics of Tamriel in Skyrim, and wants the player to deliver a letter for him. The letter is for Captain Aldis, the captain of the Solitude Guard, and talks about their plans to overthrow Idgrod as Jarl. If read, the letter insinuates that the 2 men have spoken about this previously. All players need to do is travel to Solitude, give Aldis the letter, and that's it. The quest ends there, with no follow-up or real narrative payoff. Idgrod is also one of the guests at Elenwen's reception at the Thalmor Embassy, due to her status as a Jarl. She will happily cause a disturbance for the Dragonborn at the reception. As you come to the end of the video, you may ask the following question. Are Idgrod's visions from the future real or lies? Any theories as to the source of her visions? There is no definitive answer to these questions. The divines work in mysterious ways, mainly because people these days believe they work in mysterious ways, and 7th Uriel Septim notably received many prophetic visions. I would say that prophets receive their foresight as gifts from certain aspect gods. As for whether Jarl Ravencrone is actually legitimate, who can say? She certainly doesn't seem to be a liar. We had another seer similar to her in Oblivion, Degale, from the Leowyn chapter of the Mages Guild. We have come to the end of the second part of the Jarls of Skyrim series. In this episode, we met Idgrod Ravencrone, the equally mysterious Count of Morthul, a city famous for its mysterious events. If you enjoy my videos and want to support me, please don't forget to like this video and subscribe to my channel. See you in the next video. Hello everyone! Welcome to the 4th part of the Skyrim Jarls series. In this episode, we will get to know Igmund, the powerful Jarl of the city of Markarth, one of the most special cities of Skyrim, famous for its Dwemer architecture, and remembered for a rebellion called the Forsworn Uprising. In this video, we will also touch upon the betrayal between Ulfric and Igmund, the sworn threat right next to Markarth, and the Thalmor's pressure on Igmund. If you want to watch more informative videos about Skyrim, do not forget to like this video and subscribe to my channel. Enjoy watching. In the rugged and tumultuous terrain of Skyrim's Reach lies the city of Markarth, a bastion of history and strength carved into the living rock itself. At the heart of this stone city's leadership is Jarl Igmund, a figure of resilience and unwavering loyalty to the imperial cause. Igmund is a Nord barbarian who rules the city of Markarth as Jarl, with assistance from his steward and uncle, Rearek. Igmund's ascent to power is a tale woven with the threads of conflict and compromise. The son of Jarl Hrolfdir, Igmund was thrust into leadership after the brutal Forsworn rebellion claimed his father's life. This pivotal moment not only shaped the young Jarl's rule, but also the fate of Markarth. When discussing the city's history under his father's leadership, Igmund reveals that when Cyrodiil was invaded by the Aldmeri Dominion during the Great War, the Empire began ignoring all other provinces and were forced to deal exclusively with the war. Because of this, the Imperial legionnaires in Markarth were recalled, leaving the city vulnerable to the impending Forsworn rebellion. With no legion to assist the besieged city, it fell temporarily and created a brief, independent kingdom. After the Great War, the Empire sought to reclaim the Reach. With no other options, Jarl Hrolfdir entrusted a militia led by Ulfric Stormcloak to reclaim the Reach, offering them religious freedom in exchange for their aid in overthrowing the independent Forsworn Empire. This religious freedom meant the free worship of Talos within the boundaries of Markarth. Talos is a sacred figure to the people of Skyrim and is the last god in the Nine Gods. The Aldmer, however, were not happy about this and endeavored to ban Talos worship throughout Tamriel. Eventually, the Thalmor discovered this and demanded the arrest of Ulfric and the other members of the militia, since they were in violation of the White Gold Concordat. The Thalmor placed political pressure on Igmund's father, effectively forcing him to turn over Ulfric in order to preserve the newfound peace the Empire had with the Dominion. When Igmund became the new Earl of Markarth after Forsworn murdered his father, he followed in his father's footsteps and had Ulfric and the Nord militia arrested to prevent a new war with the Thalmor. For Ulfric, this was a disappointing betrayal. The Forsworn, natives of the Reach who seek to reclaim their ancestral lands, present a constant challenge to Igmund's rule. His approach to this insurrection is both militaristic and pragmatic, often seeking aid from adventurers and dragonborn alike to quell the unrest. A staunch supporter of the Imperial Legion, Igmund's reign is marked by his dedication to the Empire's ideals. His alliance is not merely political, it is a reflection of his deep-seated belief that unity under the Empire is Skyrim's best defense against external threats, particularly the Aldmeri Dominion. Earlier, we mentioned that Igmund's betrayal of Ulfric and his militia in defense of his city against the Aldmeri threat led to the uprising known as the Stormcloak Rebellion. For this reason, the civil war in Skyrim tugs at the fabric of Igmund's leadership. Should the Stormcloak seize control, Igmund faces the grim prospect of being replaced by Thongvor Silverblood, a change that would shift the city's allegiance and disrupt the fragile balance Igmund has fought to maintain. Igmund's legacy is not solely defined by warfare. His diplomatic efforts, particularly during the negotiation of the White Gold Concordat, highlight his capacity for difficult decisions in the name of peace. It is this blend of martial prowess and diplomatic acumen that cements Igmund's place in the annals of the Reach's history. Under Igmund's stewardship, Markarth remains a marvel of Dwemer architecture. Its stone halls and impenetrable defenses stand as a testament to both the Dwemer's ingenuity and the Jarl's commitment to preserving the city's grandeur. When compared with other Jarls, Igmund is the least worried Jarl about the dragons, because Markarth is made entirely out of stone due to being built into the side of the mountain. A magnificent example of Dwemer architecture, many roads lead into the mountain, which adds to the city's defense. In addition, the fireproof stone walls strengthen Igmund's hand against the threat of dragons. As a result, the civil war is a higher priority for Igmund than the dragon threat. Igmund lived in Understone Keep with his journeymen and private guards. Today you can still see examples and artifacts of Dwemer architecture in this palace. He wears embellished robes, a pair of fur-lined boots, and a copper and sapphire circlet. He is equipped with a steel sword and a steel shield, and carries a selection of upper-class loot and gold. Jarl Igmund's character is a complex tapestry of duty, loyalty, and the burdens of leadership. His story is emblematic of the struggles that riddle the land of Skyrim, where every decision can tip the scales of destiny. As the Count of Markarth, Igmund stands as a guardian of tradition, an advocate for the Empire, and a bulwark against the chaos that threatens to engulf the Reach. This is the end of the fourth installment of the Skyrim Jarls series, in which we introduced Igmund, Earl of Markarth, looked at the root causes of the Skyrim Civil War, and examined the Oathbreaker Uprising. I hope you have been following this series with interest. If you enjoy my videos and want to support me, please please don't forget to like this video and subscribe to my channel. See you in the next video. Hello everyone! In this episode, we start a new series where we will get to know the Jarls of Skyrim. The guest of our first episode is Elisif The Fair, wife of former High King Torygg, Jarl of Solitude, who was killed in a duel by Ulfric Stormcloak, leader of the Stormcloak Rebellion. If you want to watch more informative videos about Skyrim, do not forget to like this video and subscribe to my channel. Enjoy watching. Elisif The Fair is the beloved wife of Torygg, High King of Skyrim, before his death at the beginning of the Stormcloak Rebellion. Following Torygg's death, she took his place as Jarl of Solitude, though the decision on who would assume the role of High King or Queen was delayed due to the outbreak of the rebellion. Elisif believed that the throne of Skyrim was her right, as High King Torygg's widow. However, she believed it best not to formally announce her intentions until the rebellion was quashed. She was a popular leader among her people, although some of her courtiers had concerns about her young age and inexperience, and believed she was under the thumb of General Tullius. She wears the unique fine raiment with a pair of unique cuffed boots and a copper and ruby circlet. She also carries a belted tunic, at least 28 gold, and an assortment of upper-class items, food, and gold. Elisif starts her day at 6 a.m. by getting up from bed to attend to her court. Her early court duties will be interrupted after just an hour, as the Jarl will break for a meal for the next hour of her day. From 8 a.m. to 12 p.m., she will return to managing the morning's court affairs. Once midday arrives, she will take an opportunity to visit her quarters for lunch for the next hour, afterwards continuing her court duties until 10 p.m. After the court closes for the night, she will retire to her room for the rest of the evening. Elisif may wander, eat, idle, or go to bed early, from 10 p.m. to 12 a.m., but she will always go to her bed by midnight to sleep. After at least 6 hours of sleep, the Jarl will wake up to repeat her schedule once more. Elisif can be found in the Blue Palace located in the southeast of Solitude. The palace stands directly across and down the street from Castle Dur, the headquarters of the Imperial military forces in Skyrim. Elisif rarely leaves the palace for fears she will be attacked by a Stormcloak assassin, doing so only for rare occasions such as the wedding between Vittoria Vici and Asgeir Snowshod. Elisif was the wife of Torygg, the High King of Skyrim, prior to the Skyrim Civil War. Elisif and Torygg were in a happy marriage, wanting to enjoy themselves at parties such as the one at the Thalmor Embassy, and were affectionate to each other. Torygg was loyal to the Empire, agreeing to the White Gold Concordat and enforcing it, though this caused issue amongst some of his subjects. It is unknown how Elisif felt about such matters, although since she does not worship Talos, unlike her husband, she was likely unaffected by the treaty. Following the killing of Torygg at the hand of Ulfric Stormcloak, Elisif was left grieving for her husband, as she became the Jarl of Hafingr-Hold. Following her assumption to power in Solitude, Elisif began to work in close cooperation with the Third Empire, against Ulfric Stormcloak and the Stormcloak Rebellion. Elisif's support of the Empire can be traced to several factors, with the largest being her anger at Ulfric for the killing of Torig. Like many in Solitude, she believed this was murder. In addition to this, her husband willingly served under the Emperor, and although he might have considered an independent Skyrim, he was still subservient to the Empire until he died. The Empire also supports her to be the High Queen of Skyrim, seeing her as the successor to her husband. Due to her support, Solitude serves as the base of Imperial military power in Skyrim during the Civil War. General Tullius works closely with Jarl Elisif in his attempts to squash the Stormcloak Rebellion. Elisif has faith in Tullius and trusts him a great deal, to the joy of some in court and to the dismay of others. She also wants to be in the loop more often and commonly asks Falk to set up meetings between them. This imperial support, along with Elisif's marriage to the last High King, makes Elisif the most likely candidate for the position of monarch should the Empire succeed in ending the Stormcloak Rebellion. Elisif herself supports such a decision, going so far as to call it her rightful place, while also not rushing to claim such a title until the war is over. However, Elisif's lack of experience and total dependence on imperial support, specifically with regards to General Tullius, implies that Elisif will be greatly under the control of the Empire as High Queen of Skyrim, similarly to her husband under the Emperor. Elisif is sensitive to the death of her husband and is still mourning his loss. His death overshadows much of what she does, with her banning festivals such as the burning of King Olaf by the Bard's College as a result of this. Even in happy occasions, such as the wedding between Vittoria and Askir, she is a bit tense. When Vittoria dies, Elisif can only think of Torig. When not overshadowed by Torig's demise, Elisif's demeanor is rather positive to those around her, and she has decent patience for disagreement and for what people say about her. Elisif is young and inexperienced, relying on Falk Firebeard to see to many of her duties. She is very receptive to the advice of her court, commonly asking her thanes for their opinion and usually listening to them. Elisif has little confidence in her abilities, and as a result, she is very impressionable. Elisif also still mourns for her husband, and thanks to this, her lack of confidence, and her rather amateur ruling skills, some in Solitude see her as an ineffectual ruler. Ulfric merely refers to her as Torig's woman, and goes so far to say she is a pet Jarl, clearly seeing her as nothing more than a pawn for the Empire. Despite all this, she does retain some respect, such as from Tullius, Falk, and Behrand. Falk Firebeard has even gone so far as to attempt to teach Elisif in the ways of statecraft, giving advice on politics as a whole. An outspoken supporter of the Empire, Elisif is a Jarl whose court views are to keep Skyrim as a province of the Empire of Tamriel. Viewing the Stormcloak Rebellion as a blight upon the face of Skyrim, Elisif gives no explicit indication of any dissatisfaction with the Empire outside of wanting to speak with General Tullius more often. Elisif sees the war as a top priority, following Tullius's directives and submitting all resources she has to in order to defeat the Stormcloaks. With regard to religious views, Elisif states that she does not worship Talos, thus it is unknown how she feels about the White Gold Concordat. However, she nonetheless asks the Dragonborn to deliver Torig's warhorn to a shrine of Talos near Whiterun, so that her late husband might have the funerary rites which he would have wanted. For High King Torig was a worshipper of Talos even if she wasn't. We have come to the end of the first part of the Jarls of Skyrim series. In this episode, we met Elisif The Fair, the widowed ruler of Solitude. If you enjoy my videos and want to support me, please don't forget to like this video and subscribe to my channel. See you in the next video.